Good evening. Lieutenant General Kamal J Singh, in short J Singh, has spent 5 decades in military life, beginning from Sainik School. Then, in his military career, he spent decades serving at various levels and also commanding the Western Command, while also heading the Sikkim Corps. And now he has retired, but he has re-attired himself into the scholarly world, and he has come out with a very well acclaimed book, General's Jottings. And we are here to discuss General's Jottings as well as the contemporary military conflicts taking place in different geographies. Very warm welcome, Lieutenant General KJ Singh, to the show.
Thank you, Manish. I'm grateful to you for exposing first time authors like us and connecting us with our readers. So grateful to you. And I'm also enthused by presence of Sujan, who's a very acclaimed defense correspondent. While my book may not be so acclaimed, but both of you are acclaimed in your fields. So one in defense journalism and second in all kinds of journalism. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the kind words. We are also joined by Mr. Sujan Datta from Kolkata. He's joining from Kolkata virtually, and he has been in different leading positions in several of the leading mainstream newspapers, lastly being the deputy resident editor of the New Indian Express, while he is currently contributing to several publications and the news portals. He is India's foremost defense expert. Lieutenant General Singh, first and foremost, please give us a brief account of the book and why did you write this book? What made you to write this book?
See, Manish, when I was going to hang my uniform, which was in end July 2016, so initially you are caught up in your work, but about 1 year before my date of superannuation, I had started thinking about not really retiring, re-attiring myself into a different role. So I was wondering what kind of a role can I take on. So everyone does uh, their own SWOT analysis, and you look at the place where you're going to drop your anchor. For me, that place I chose was Chandigarh. Chandigarh is Tri-City. It's like Noida, Gurgaon. You have Panchkula and Mohali. So I could afford only staying in Panchkula. Core Chandigarh is for inheritors, people who have inherited properties, because it's today beyond our pocket. So Chandigarh is a peculiar city. Khushwant Singh described it as a city with hari hari jhadiyan, chitti chitti dadiyan. That means a lot of greenery and a lot of old people. Now, there are large number of golf courses, there are clubs. So generally, people who re-attire or retire really from army, they take to golf and they attend parties, and that's how they pass their time. Or travel. You can travel also. That's there. So in this thing, I had a unique advantage. I was army commander. So I realized that it's my duty to improve the environment for re-attired people, even in a city like Chandigarh. So, when I was a major general and ADG PP, I had felt that why is it Delhi's got all the think tanks? All think tanks like USI, IDSA, Vivekanand, India Foundation, Claws, CAP, Senjos, all are centered on Raisina Hill in Luton's Delhi. So I always felt that thinking is not the exclusive preserve of people in Delhi. It should be moved out. It should be democratized. And I had proposed that we should have regional think tanks which are owned by command headquarters and uh, which keep veterans also engaged, give them some academic pursuit, and okay, you can't shape the policy, but you can at least shape the awareness around your environment. So towards this end, I started a think tank called as Gyan Chakra in Chandi Mandir. I dare say this was the first regional think tank outside Delhi. And the idea quickly got picked up, not really quickly, but after a while. Uh, Takshila in Bangalore came up. There is one Senas E, or it is East oriented, which is in Kolkata. Strive came up in Lucknow. Pune International Center created a think tank. So, and now latest is we started with Gyan Chakra. Gyan Shakti has come. Gyan Shakti is in Jaipur. And I say imitation is best form of flattery. They've even tried to extend the name from Gyan Chakra to Gyan Chakra. So this idea has got on. And but it's not without roadblocks. I told you, as a major general, I was shot down. As an army commander, when I started, people in Delhi got agitated. And after I left service, they conspired to get it stymied, really nearly closed. But it has somehow survived on a ventilator. Currently, it is getting resuscitated. But recently, I spoke to the chief. I told him, and he liked my idea. He said, he's also of the same view. And I said, there will be places where you may not have command headquarters, like Chennai. There is one Peninsula Foundation. So the area headquarters should own it up. Or own it up means support it. Shillong, Guwahati, many more places can have such think tanks. See, there is no, we don't think we can go and convince Mr. Doval to, shape the policy as we want. But definitely we can give some ideas, enhance the awareness of the local environment. Like I started a university-rooted think tank. Now, because when Gyan Chakra was stymied, I started something called as Gyan Setu. It is university-oriented. So we go to colleges, we do seminars, we share knowledge. So there are knowledge providers, there are knowledge seekers. We act as a bridge. So basic thing is, without pretension of trying to shape national policy, within the thing, try and chip in. Try and make everybody citizen warrior, Nagrik Yodha, a conscious Jagruk Hindustan. That was my thinking in that. Then I also used to attend Kasoli Lit Fest. So we felt, why shouldn't there be a military literature festival? Initially, people said military and literature, this is oxymoronish or oxymoronish. What are you talking? These are two contrasting kind of things. But we took as an army commander, you have a lot of, if you have willpower and you have good team like I had, you can push your ideas. So we started the first, and again, I dare say the first military literature festival in Chandi Mandir in the month of June, first week of June it was. And it was 2-day event. The idea got picked up. The ownership of that festival has been taken up by a foundation. It is supported by Punjab government, and like success has many fathers, it also quickly got ownership, and it also set up a domino effect. Today there are military literature festivals in cities like Lucknow, Pune, Sikandrabad, Mao, and there'll be many more. Why not? So in this same endeavor, I also felt that newspapers should have a column written by military professionals. So Tribune told me that they give enough exposure every second or third day. A retired or a re-retired army officer writes for them. Not as a columnist, but they get inputs like that. And they have a middle space of 500 words. There are also a lot of army officers release their stories. Actually, we need to release our stories. We shouldn't carry it with us always. So, in this endeavor, I was lucky to link up with Times of India regional edition. The newspaper for which Sujan Datta used to work, New Indian Express, they get a column by Atta Asnan. But that started after we started here in Chandigarh. So this column, since in Punjab there is a saying, Jeda bole, ohi kunda khole. On a cold wintry night, when you are snuggled into Razai and somebody knocks on your door or rings the bell, the first person who speaks will have to open it. So here it was me who had said, let's have this column. They said, okay, go ahead. You design. So branding General's Jottings. I frankly, I didn't have the confidence or range of subjects that I can write weekly. So I settled for a fortnightly frequency. And in between, I requested Jal Panag to alternate with me. He would write 1 week, I would write the second week. And it will go like this. Jal Panag is a very accomplished writer. His writing profile got elevated. And he exited after an year or two, a year or so. Then there was only me writing, but fortnightly. Then I requested Jan Huda. He joined for 6-7 months. So there are two things. Then Jan Huda also left. So there are two things. To know, I will say three things. Firstly, I am a loyal person. I have been writing for 7 years plus. 200 columns through COVID. So I have written that. And two other newspapers also, Tribune, Indian Express, Hindustan Times, whoever accepts. And an online journal, think tanks, whatever it is. And then second thing I want to tell your viewers is that I'm a study fellow, loyal and study. So my writing profile has remained the same. Unlike Panag and Huda, I didn't get picked up, so I stayed here only. Loyalty, steadiness. And the biggest compliment that I was paid by a reader was a major who had worked with me. He once told me, "Sir, I like your article." I said, "Why?" He said, "Sir, I also can write exactly like you." If your reader feels you write in his language, you've hit the nail on the head.
True.
So these columns got collected. And frankly, it's not only those columns, because column is 900 words. You can't expand an idea. You can't put maps. You can't put, tabulations and all. Now, there's a lot of pressure on me. Sir, write a book, write a book, write a book. Publisher also told me. Now, when you write a book, You have to know the purpose of writing them. So my purpose was a kind of a primer to people who want to understand national security. An easy to read with some reference material, chapterized and covering all contemporary national security problems. 17 chapters, 400 pages. I know my next book will not be more than 250 pages. 400 is too much. But this is a book for reference. It's got large number of maps, charts, graphs. It's soft cover. My publisher said such books in this genre books are written hardcover. I said no. My aim is not commercial. I want to reach students and all. So I have kept it soft cover. It's got a primer in the first section which tells you how to analyze national security problem. Gives you a template which is centered around, I'll spell it out to you, though I'm often told that in such promotion things, sir, don't give away everything.
Yes, so I would like here to bring in Mr. Sujan Datta, because he has also gone through your book, and you're being a scholarly soldier, and Mr. Sujan Datta is also a very accomplished writer. So I'll take a back seat, and I would like both of you to interact now.
General KJ, I have your book right here.
Thank you, sir. You should write a review also, please.
Yes.
See, Sudan, this is Punjab. Jeda bole, oi kunda khole. You have owned up that you have the book, so you have to write a review.
I'm Bengali, so ja mone ashe tai prane boli. It's
Sujan, I was Siliguri Corps commander.
Yeah, I know, 33 Corps. Yes, of course. We will not get into the Doklam issue right away. But the first thing I liked about your book and the introductory remarks to your book is, unlike a lot of other former army officers, you have not distracted geography with philosophy. I really love the fact that you put geography at the center. I love the fact that you referred to Robert Kaplan's Revenge of Geography, a text I refer to often and again. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
And I really think that particularly for defense beat correspondents, your book can become a primer. The word you use, a primer. I want to know what was the compulsion, or what prompted you to do this?
See, basically, Sujan, there are 2-3 things. One is you have a bucket list. So in my bucket list, God is kind. I have been a chair professor. I am professor of practice. I have managed to set up a think tank here. I also managed to start a literary festival, take part in all these events. So somewhere down, you also have to write a book. And allow me to tell you, I have 3 books brewing in my mind.
Right.
There is one book, Rajya Sabha gave me a fellowship, which will interest you. It is Act East through Northeast. I am working on this, and by June I intend to put out this book. The central theme is that if you have to succeed in Act East, you have to look at Northeast and work around that. The second book I am working on is the first book I should have worked on, my PhD thesis. I forgot to tell you, I also did PhD at the age of 67 years.
Oh, okay. Lovely. What is What is the theme of the thesis?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that. And that should have been my first book. That
Uh-huh.
is strategic analysis of China-Pak economic corridor
Right, right, right,
from an Indian perspective.
right.
Now I'm going to rebrand it,
Uh-huh.
but I'm going to write on China-Pak economic corridor
Right.
and BRI to some extent. And the fourth book, which is the most interesting, is Beyond General's Jottings,
Right.
which is because I'm still writing columns. And Sujan,
Uh-huh.
what is most enjoyable is
Mhm.
once I even thought of publishing a book, or I may still do it, the unpublished stories or
Right.
uh, or the spinster stories.
Let me
Now,
tell
what
you
are
that.
these?
Let me tell you, General KJ, please let it be unpublished. Just whisper those stories into my ear.
So, I'll tell you what are those stories. Those are the rejected columns that I have sent to various publications, and they have said, sorry, we can't publish it. They are middles, basically. So I'm going to polish them up and rebrand them and put it up. So these are some thoughts which brew in my mind. So coming back to that, one is the bucket list thing. Second is I sincerely felt that students of defense studies and national security, where I have done
Right.
chair professor loan, do not have a guide or a primer to empower them. They just go by some notes, something. So I thought that need is there. And now you have added another dimension, which I never thought. Defense journalists, that they can
Right.
also use it as a. So like this, there are few needs, and also gathering more confidence that yes, I can also do it. So these were the motivations. But
I think that
commission
I
is
think
not
that
there.
I think the Statesman in Calcutta today has carried an excerpt of your book. Uh, and in were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
I will
I'll
share.
be
I will share.
I'll be
Yeah,
grateful if you can.
yes, yes. Any case, you've in what you said, you've already touched on two hot potatoes. One is the Lukis thing, and that is the emerging situation in Bangladesh, the evolving situation in Bangladesh. And the second is when you talk of the China Pakistan economic corridor, our face off, our standoff in eastern Ladakh comes to mind immediately. So let me engage you in a discussion first on Bangladesh and then on Ladakh.
Yeah,
In
please.
both in both areas you have served and you know the geography better than most of us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So go ahead. You asked me the question.
What do you think is happening in Bangladesh and what will happen and how should we respond?
See, what is happening in Bangladesh is most unfortunate because the golden era of our relationship was when Sheikh Hasina was at the helm. She,
Right.
before she came to power, in the time when Khalida Zia and Ziaur Rahman were ruling, all the groups in Northeast had set up their sanctuaries, had their camps. Anup Chetia was running business there. Paresh Barua and Anthony Shimrang, Ali command of NACN Iron, all were
Yeah,
operating.
I'm just sorry to interject here. I'm not interrupting you. While you talk about this, please also tell us about your service tenure in this region.
See, I was lucky to serve in Nagaland, Manipur, in a
Right.
period when the formation, we were two formations over there. IGER, that time there was only one IGER. Currently, there are three of them. So,
Right.
entire jurisdiction or territory of all three was looked after by us, supported by 57 Mountain Dip.
Right.
57 Mountain Dip, based in Lima Kong, had
Right,
moved
right,
out for Operation Prakram.
right.
Everything was in Arkiti.
Mhm.
And believe you me, it was so interesting. I am in so much in love with Northeast. Just to convince you, I'll start naming the COBs of Imphal City. Neelakuti,
Right, right,
Chingmoiram,
right,
Kanchipur, Mantri
right,
Pukri,
right.
uh, uh, this uh,
Kanglai,
Kanglai and Tabol.
Kanglai
All
Gate.
these are, and all these are the COBs over there. And
Right.
so, frankly, I
Just for
love
the
traveling.
benefit of viewers, COBs are company operating bases.
Yeah. So, uh, frankly, now Bangladesh, unfortunately, is, you know, somehow my views are little different, and I may be excused for them. Somewhere, our diplomats did not read the situation correctly because,
My personal view is it has been a diplomatic disaster. How could we not see this coming?
yeah, I agree with you, and and the basic thing is we somehow overplayed the entitlement card. We felt that since we had a role or a defining role in liberation of Bangladesh, so we overplayed it. There
Right,
were attempts to give credit to Mukti Jodhas, but I think now, in retrospect, at least I can say more should have been done so
right,
that they had a sense of ownership about their liberation
right,
and not as if we gave it to them as an outsourced kind of a option. Now,
right.
the second thing is somewhere along the line, we have also not been able to, uh, again, this is a little radical thing which I have, because I have interacted with large number of Bangladeshis and I
Right.
am in touch with them still.
And
Uh,
many of their officers would have been your students when you were instructor and director.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
Uh,
and what I I have even in seminars asked people. See, there is been a philosophy propagated by our diplomats that is either India or nobody, zero sum game. But our smaller neighbors have no choice but to accept China as a leading kind
right,
of a player. China has
right,
deep pockets. China has the
right.
capability to make infrastructure.
The developments in Bhutan are really interesting now. You were 33 Corps commander, you would know very well what is happening.
See, Bhutan, again, we are lucky that the new regime now is not so inclined towards China. The previous one was.
Right,
And if they had won, then whatever China was designing would have come through. But still, I have a feeling that, see, we talk of this Doklam or Dolam,
right.
uh,
Or Dokala.
sensitivity, uh, Dokala is the past.
Right.
Like there is a ridge which goes down from Merugla, Sinchela. We
Jamtari,
say, yeah, no, Jamperi is further south. But
further south. Right.
we say the tri junction is aligned along Merugla Sinchela link.
Batangla.
Uh,
We believe the transaction is at Batangla.
Batangla, Merugla, Sinchela, Batangla,
Right.
that is the tri junction we say. But China says no, it is Gimochin and
It
it
is
is
Gimochi.
further south. Further
Right.
south. Now, left to Bhutan, they would accept the Chinese push. They have no major
General,
problem.
uh, just for general knowledge, let us say, if the Chinese come up to Gimochen. Gimochen was something that we, the Indian Army, had occupied in 1987. I think at that time, General Satish Nair was your predecessor in the 33 Corps. Uh, he's now retired, of course, and he lives in Bangalore. And his company had first occupied Gimochen. From Gimochen to the Siliguri corridor, uh, by as the crow flies, how many kilometers would it be? 140?
No, see, there are places on Jamferi Ridge from where,
Right.
as the crow flies, it is only 45 kilometers
Oh,
as the crow
right,
flies.
right,
But
right,
you can't fly like a crow over. You
right,
need to
right,
have logistics. You need to develop communications. We
right.
have done enough war games over there, and
Mm,
I am sincerely convinced that
mm,
even if China manages to get a foothold on Jamferi Ridge, which is our
right.
critical vulnerability as we think,
Uh,
we still have uh, fallback options. Because if you come along
is
Jaldata,
Champari Ridge our red line, or is our red line further north? I know we have in the east, in the Indian Army holds the commanding heights in the east of the Chumbi Valley. But is Jamperi Ridge the red line, or is the red line further up north?
see, basically the critical red line is Jamferi Ridge. But
Right,
to give it depth, we have stopped the Chinese where they are currently.
right,
Because see, its Chumbi Valley is very narrow at the base. It is
right,
only about 20 kilometers at the base.
right,
Doesn't give it enough deployability space. Chinese
right.
aim is to expand this
Mm,
base. Even if China prosecutes operations along the Jamferi Ridge, it will have to go along Jal Dhaka, come
right,
down to Kitapsi Height, and
right.
come down to, the Siliguri corridor. Now, in order to do that, it's not easy. We have multiple defense lines. We have
Right.
uh, quick reaction forces.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, we have forces which will uh, try and preempt Chinese from occupying Jamferi Ridge,
Right.
like what we
Right.
did in Kailash Heights,
Right.
kind of thing. We'll try to do it on Jamferi Ridge. But
I was just about to come to that, General KJ. So let us swing. And like you are a lover of geography, I wish in my next birth I am born a geographer. I'm a student of history and literature, but I
okay,
wish in my next birth I am born a geographer. Let us swing from the east to the west. So from Jamperi Ridge to Kailash Range. Where do you think we stand today in eastern Ladakh after 4 years of the standoff?
see, frankly, we cannot say that status quo ante as it existed on in May
April 29,
2020
2020, yes.
been restored. We can't say that. That we
We
can't
can't.
say.
Right.
Say, but we have some kind of uneasy kind of arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we can patrol in Depsang, which
Mm-hmm.
is strategically the most important piece of territory in eastern Ladakh, is
Mm-hmm.
a great achievement. It's a great achievement. Many
Mm-hmm.
of us are still wondering why did
Mm-hmm.
Chinese go back? We can't
Mm-hmm.
understand. Like some of us felt that why did we withdraw from Kailash
Mm-hmm.
after having gone there without getting all these concessions?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, today it's very
Uh,
difficult to understand.
General KJ, you and I understand the strategic importance of the Kailash ranges, but for the general viewer, can you please explain what the Kailash ranges mean? For the general viewer, for the
Yeah,
non-military person.
See, Kailash Range is a series of heights. Names are not so important, but to resonate in your mind, Rizangla, where
Razangla
Major
and
Sultan
Chinla.
Singh fought, is part of that ridgeline. Now, Kailash heights give you domination into the because territory on the other side is plateau. It's flat. It's a rolling kind of a flat plateau on which tanks can advance. You have access to Moldo garrison
Right.
and the garrisons behind that. So
And the
once
first
you
thing that
maintain
you'll
a,
see once you're on Kailash Range is the Spangur Lake.
yes, sir. So
Yeah.
between the Spangur Lake and Pengonso, this flat piece of territory gives you multiple options. So that is also critical. But besides Depsang, we've also got in Demchok, we've got now liberty to do patrolling up to our claim lines. As
Charting
regards,
Nala, CNN. CNN
yes,
Nala.
so charting Nala. So
Uh,
that is where we've also got like Depsang, we've got that uh, arrangement now. Rest of the places we have buffer zones
right.
like Galwan, Hot Spring, these places we have buffer zones. They may
Right.
not be to our total advantage, but at least they are keeping the face-offs will not take place. That is
Mm.
the gain of it. Even on Pangong, so we can't patrol up to finger 8, which we used to do it earlier,
Right.
and they used to patrol up to finger 4, which they also can't do. But the area between 4 and 8,
Mm.
which is buffer zone,
Right.
is somehow is more advantageous to Chinese
Exactly.
because
Right.
China has a large build-up just behind, and now they have made new bridge and all. So to that extent, but see what arrangements we have made on LAC is a function of many things.
Right.
Our economic compulsions, our uh, the fact that we are conscious of the fact that Chinese can't be pushed away
General,
by. Uh,
just a second. Like you, I have also been wondering if the Chinese were in an advantageous position, why did they withdraw? I am wondering, for example, do you think there was a give and take at Chumigyatso in Arunachal?
see, one thing is there, Sujan. Uh, Unlike many previous governments, this government holds its cards very close to its chest.
Right,
So we really don't know what kind of quid pro quo, if it is taken place.
right,
Even even in Gepsang, Chinese wanted to patrol up to Birdsing because
right, right,
Birdsing is very close to DBO.
right.
So have they been allowed that? We are not sure. What kind of arrangements have been made for Yangtze?
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
Because
hmm,
that is another place where we had a face off.
hmm, hmm.
So, uh, like they say in the Hindi film, picture abhi baki hai mere dost.
बिल्कुल.
We are only seeing trailer in parts.
Right, right,
It is to credit of Indian Army. All
right.
this has happened because Indian Army showed remarkable kind of a response level and Air Force because logistics by mirroring Chinese deployment.
Hmm,
And Chinese realized that kinetic force cannot be used to push India back. Also, uh, the fact that through this adverse weather and in this harsh terrain, our soldiers have stood their ground. Our forces have been there. Also, Sujan, there must be at back of the government, the kind of revenue expenditure you have to do to keep all these forces over there
Mm-hmm.
is drained. It leaves really very little for capital modernization.
Right.
So if we are able to negotiate properly, and if
Mm.
both sides agree to de-induct some forces,
Mm.
it will help us in the long term.
Uh, let me be a little counter narrative here. If we need money for capital expenditure to modernize the armed forces, to modernize the military, why do we need to modernize the military? Because we need to take on modern militaries like China and a medieval military like Pakistan. So we were facing China in any case. Why give up territory? Buffer zones are an excuse to surrender territory, aren't they?
See, Sujan, about Sino-Indian border, frankly, there is a lot of gray over there because
Right.
after all, Tibet, who owned this territory, no longer exists. So the claim lines are lines which have been, there are many lines. There is Johnson line, there is
Yeah.
McCartney, McDonald line.
Right
There are
from
no,
1929.
yeah, yeah. There,
Almost 100 years back.
as the surveyors went, they mapped the lines.
Right. Right.
At least in the east, in the northeast, we have McMahon line, and we have that thing that China has done uh,
Mm.
their settlement with Myanmar based on McMahon line.
Right.
So by extending same logic, we can try and convince Chinese to
And
accept.
I think China draws its line with Myanmar from east to west at the tri junction where the Brahmaputra enters India. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You
But
are the
only
geographer. You can teach us.
the only problem is uh, the thing is the
Tooting. Yeah, tooting. I think.
yeah. See, the problem is when the borders are delimited,
Right.
there is a broad concept. The concept over there was the highest watershed.
Right.
Okay. Then that thing is translated onto map. You draw the map on map. Now, when you draw on map, sometimes maps are not that accurate also. So
Right.
sometimes there is a need to adjust. And these are the areas where there are disagreements, clashes, problems.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but but besides all this, the biggest problem is Tawang because Chinese are
Mm.
very centered on getting control of Tawang,
Yeah, they claim it as South Tibet.
Tibet, and they say that Tawang is the place where uh, these Dalai Lama
Mm.
ancestors and others have
Mm.
a temporal authority over there. But
Right. Right.
somehow we have to do settlement with Chinese and convince
Mm.
them. See, if what was proposed earlier that we settled to 1959 claim line
Mm-hmm.
in eastern Ladakh
Mm.
and we took the McMahon line here, it would have been most wonderful.
Mm.
But now somehow we'll have to, and one thing is there, I tend to believe that China is not going to settle it quickly. It will
Right.
keep us engaged. Also, we cannot sit back. They may open new front in Barawati in central
Oh,
sector.
yes. Exactly. Uttarakhand, yes.
Yes, they can. Chinese cannot be trusted. You have to verify before you even start thinking of trusting them.
General KJ, what is the picture in Sundaramchu?
Currently, we are in control because, as you know, Chinese had withdrawn. after what Sundarji had done. He was
Right.
a bold person. He had done that, and to that extent,
Were you
we are
were
in
you were
control.
you were you involved in that operation?
No, I was not, but I've read about it. I have
Right.
been on ground. I've gone and seen it because it's a
Right.
beautiful uh, operation to study.
Right.
In that time,
So you had the Thagla Ridge, across
yes,
which north of which which is China, south of which Thagla Ridge being the watershed, south of which is India. Right.
yes, and Chinese had come this side, and we managed to convince them to get back. That's the essence of what Sundarji did, which is a great uh, operation in terms of coercive deployment.
Right.
Chinese reeled back.
Exactly.
So, like
And
Sujan,
yeah,
I want
it was happening simultaneously with Operation Brass Tacks.
yes, sir. What was this was called Trident.
Right.
So, I want to give you one more example to your readers, to your viewers, and hopefully my readers, if they buy the book. There is a place in Sikkim called as Nakula, which is in Mugutang Valley. Now, when I was
Not
corps
not
commander,
not
yeah,
not Sikkim.
yeah, when I was corps commander, I was told, sir, there is no threat here. Nothing happens here. This can be, and that used to be looked after by the ITBP. It was called ITBP sector.
Right.
As a corps commander, I started the practice of keeping our infantry company. And would you believe it? 1 year after I left, I was told Chinese activated Nakula. So
Yeah,
Chinese
exactly.
can activate any place.
Hmm.
Like as a corps commander in Sikkim, I was told they activated Smugglers Gap, Black Rock. Now there is nothing over there. So when I was Western Army commander, I was looking after Himachal Pradesh, uh, that Rampur sector, Shipkila and all.
Right.
So everybody used to tell me it's a holiday sector. It was called sugar sector,
Sugar sector. Yes.
sugar sector in Poo. But luckily, uh, our decision makers were responsive, good. We made it 36th Brigade, then we made it 136 Independent Infantry Brigade.
Oh,
That
right,
time,
right,
that time it used to have just 2 battalions. Today it has got 4 battalions.
right,
That time it was one light regiment. Today it has got a medium regiment and light regiment.
right.
So, and I used to keep telling my people that please do not trust Chinese. You say nothing will happen at Kyobrang Pass, but don't be surprised that Chinese will decide to come through it.
Which
Because
brings me, General KJ, in your book, you have touched upon the subject. Do you think that in the frontier areas, in the border areas, all paramilitary forces should be brought under the military, should be brought under the army in the land borders?
I I am 200% on that. I feel my biggest script today is that Central Armed Police Forces, they have been given the designation of defense forces. They
Right.
are never denied budget like armed forces because MHA has nearly unlimited budget. Now these forces are not empowering themselves to take up their designated role. So when you pull out a division from Rajouri and Doda, RR division, CI force, Romeo, you pull it out for Ladakh, and suddenly there is a spate of incidents which takes place. So why
Right,
is it
right.
that the CAPFs, which are primarily responsible for managing internal security, why don't they get empowered? See, we have to divide these into two parts.
Mm.
One is forces for internal security, and second is
Mm.
forces for border guarding.
Right.
And in border guarding, there are forces for border defense and border management.
No, I'm just
The
trying to count. Let us count on the fingers of the hand. Okay, from north to south, you have the ITBP, you have the BSF, you have the Shashastra Sima Bal, you have the Assam Rifles that is offered. That is officered by the army, but is technically under the Home Ministry. There is a multiplicity of border guarding forces, and the army is in the rear.
See, Sujan, in Manipur, what is happening? In Manipur today, you have you have CRPF, you have BSF, you have
Right,
SSB, you have even
right,
CISF. All have
right.
been brought in. And the national
Right.
policy is one border, one force.
Exactly.
And what are you doing? You are
Mm,
mixing up internal security forces with border guarding forces.
mhm.
And the force which was primarily designated for that Assam rifle, you have
Right.
destroyed its reputation. You have
Exactly.
made it so difficult for them to operate in mighty areas
Mm.
that they've been told you stay out of mighty area.
Right, right, right.
What have you achieved? It's a so Sujan, what is required is firstly all these forces. It's set by parliamentary uh,
Mm.
standing committee also, which are
Mm.
required for border guarding. They
Right,
should be placed under. It should not only be one border, one force. It should be one theater, one
right. Exactly.
commander, one control. Everybody has to get under the same umbrella. The second thing is their officer cadre should be their own cadre, like Coast Guard. Like
Mm.
from Coast Guard, we took it out. Navy was taken out. So
Right.
everybody, you can't have the current system of an IPS officer paradropping into,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, who has. And today, if you look at it, there are times when a person straight away from some state cadre comes to head BSF
Mm. Mm.
or ITPP. Is it that
Mm.
simple? In
Mm.
army, before I go to command a battalion, I am placed as
Right.
a 2IC. You have to,
That is the thing we've always learned, that the army officer is commanding his troops in battle, while the IPS officer is sitting in his district bungalow and giving orders.
and Sudan. Also, the problem is that you're doing all this. You're actually using it as some kind of a buffer for adjusting your senior police officer. So you give them
Mm.
all these things. So you're not being really professional about the whole thing. So you should make a dedicated cadre.
Mm.
Suppose an IPS officer is motivated and he wants to come for this role, then tell him to
Mm.
come at the level of a CO and then stay here,
Right,
not
right,
go back,
right.
not go back completely.
No,
So,
rewinding this conversation, do you think in Eastern Ladakh it was the failure of the ITBP rather than the army?
Sujan, I have worked so much with these forces. I was myself seconded to Assam Rifle. I was Colonel GS in IGR headquarters.
Mm.
Uh, my head may say, my heart doesn't allow to blame them because as, as Sikkim Corps commander,
Uh,
at unit level, they are good people.
right.
They are equally good like us. What is so special about us?
No, I'm
It's,
not talking about the people. I'm talking about the institution. The
yeah,
people
to
are
that
very nice.
extent,
I have many friends there too.
to that extent, I'll agree with you, and I'll also say that why can't we commission everybody through a common method? You know, and after serving for some years in army, they go to BSF, CRPF. After all, it is the same skill set. You can have a reorientation training. and
mm,
all the Agniveer kind of thing again send them to there.
mm,
So you will reduce costs on training. You'll have same ethos.
mm,
It's I think it's very simple to do it, but
mm.
we have silos, we have
Right.
kingdoms, and we don't want to let go.
Right. General KJ, to wind up the discussion, let us take you to kindergarten. What brought you to the army? What inspired you? How did you get into the army? And you are armored corps, right?
Yes, Sujan, yes. But I am an
So
Army Corps officer who have served so much in these areas that the
right.
PRO rang me up and asked me,
So so
Saab,
so tell so tell us about how you got into the army, how through NDA and IMA, how you chose the armored corps, how you got into the regiment of your choice. Tell us your life story.
see, basically, I grew up in a Mofsil kind of a town or many towns in Rajasthan. My father was in state services. Later, he got into IS. He somehow felt that I needed stability in education and he could afford to send me to Sainik school. So, Sainik schools were coming up about 1,000 kilometers from my house. At the age of 9.5 years, I was packed off to a Sainik school.
Which
When I
one?
wrote that, when I wrote that exam
Which
for
Sainik?
Sainik school, Chittorgarh in
Chittorgarh.
Rajasthan.
Hmm.
So my father was Rajasthan cadre. So when I wrote that exam, 62 war had finished and
Right,
65 war was finishing. I wrote that exam in 65.
right,
65 I wrote that exam. December
right,
or
right.
October or something, November. War had just finished. My mother was crying. She said, every 4 5 years India goes to war. Why do you want to send your son to army or armed forces?
Right,
From 9.5 years of age, I started wearing a uniform.
right.
Pagdi, knuckle, khaki
Uh,
shirt, khaki shorts, and I was wearing proper uniform. Joined
right,
NCC, 9.5, and it carried on. From
right.
January 1966 till July 2016, 50 years plus, I was in uniform. Now,
Right, right.
when you are in a Sainik school, it is like you are growing in a tribe. So,
Hmm,
what is
hmm,
the best achievement in Sainik school? Like when I did my 11th class, I got selected for Pilani, BITS
hmm,
Pilani, and I also
hmm.
got selected for Merchant Navy. But
Right.
everybody said India. So,
Hmm,
without thinking much, I joined NDA, IMA, and on to
hmm.
I was good in my uh, training, so I was in super block, and I had the liberty to choose my regiment.
Regiment.
So I
Yeah.
chose, Armored Corps and 63 Cavalry. But
Right, right.
allow me to tell you, Sudan, I am a zero generation Fauji with no connect to army of any kind before me.
Oh, oh,
And and when I went to my regiment, everybody I met was second generation, third generation, fourth
right,
generation. But
right, right.
but I was here. I was first generation. But it
That
is
is
to
also
the
wonderful, actually. I had assumed that your father was also in the army, your grandfather was also. That was presumptuous of me. It is my mistake.
Sujan. I must also tell you, hats off to army and its objectivity. That the person without any connect, they allowed me to become army commander.
Right,
The most powerful command, Western Command. They gave
right,
me all kinds of challenges, sent me abroad to Angola for peace building.
right.
I taught most of my courses, and
Hmm.
I did not find, there was some favoritism here and there, but it was
Tell
more
us
like,
about Manish. Do you have the time?
Yeah, please carry on. I will not
Tell
interrupt.
tell us about your time with 63 Cavalry. Give us some
see,
anecdotes.
see, 63 cavalry is a great regiment. It is called the Ghost Regiment. Before I got commissioned, uh, it went to Congo in 1962. In 1971, this regiment advanced into Bangladesh from four fronts. From the western side, under 2 corps, it went up to Jessore.
Just so,
From the
yes.
northern side, under 33 corps, it went up to Bogra.
That was the area of the 101 Communications Brigade.
No, Hilly, Bogra.
Yeah,
And,
Hilibo.
and from the eastern side, in two prongs, it went and it came through Akhoda and our tanks reached Dhaka. Ours were the
Right,
only tanks which reached Dhaka.
right.
So a regiment like this, because
And,
we were the only,
what tanks were they, the general?
we had three types of equipment. We had
Right.
we were the only regiment with medium tanks in eastern sector, which were T-55. We
Right.
also had PT-76, which swam
Pippa.
across
Pippa.
Pipa, which are
Yeah.
also called Pipa. But the people who called Pipa got bashed by Pipas. And we also had the armored cars, ferret armored cars.
Right,
So
right,
PT-76 swam across Meghna and raced to Dhaka. So
right.
Pakistan uh, headquarters used to be reporting that 63 coming from here, 63 coming from here, 63 coming from here. So in sheer exasperation, they used to say, is this a regiment or are they ghosts?
Ah,
So, so we got the name of Ghost Regiment.
okay.
And my regiment is
Uh,
had the privilege of producing very fine officers. Uh, General S.P.M. Tripathi, who was the deputy chief, and he later became member of parliament also. General Shamsher Singh Mehta, who was Western Army commander like me,
I
and
know
then I
general.
also
Yes,
became, yeah,
yes.
then I also became an army commander.
Right,
So it's not an old regiment, it's not pre-independence, raised in
right,
57. I received
right.
the colors from my regiment. I
Uh-huh.
commanded the regiment, and today the
Uh,
regiment is facing the Chinese near
right,
Nepsang Plains. We are
right,
there.
right,
And our
right, right,
independence program is in North Sikkim.
right, right.
So Chinese, you are under watch. 63 cavalry on both fronts is keeping you under check.
Right, right, right. And when you became a general officer, which year would that be?
See, I became a major general in 2010, and then I
Right,
became a lieutenant colonel in 2013. See, in Indian
right,
Army, the problem is, unlike Navy, we have short tenures. You know,
right,
you do a divisional commander for about 14-15 months, then you
right,
do a staff appointment like I did ADGPP, and then
right,
you move on to go and command a corps, and then you go and
right,
command a command. So, which
right,
was 2 years. So,
right,
basically, it was about 5-6 years of generalship. That's it.
right, right. What a lovely
But
conversation to
but
have with
but
you, General
but I
Bijan.
must tell you, Sujan, I must tell you one thing. I always believed, and I say it in a light-hearted manner, if God has been kind and has put you in that place, you must push the envelope. थोड़े चमड़े के सिक्के चलाने चाहिए,
Ah, ah, ah.
रिस्क लेनी चाहिए. I,
Mhm.
I, if I ever write my autobiography, I'll be writing it under the title Outliner Army Commander,
I look forward to it.
because I have taken a lot of pungas and still survived. So I need to write about them also.
हाँ आर्मी कमांडर होंगे सरदार होंगे पंगा नहीं लेंगे तो क्या आप सोल्जर हो, सरदार हो? ये तो हो नहीं सकता है.
So
I agree with you.
on this note, we will wrap up the discussion, and both of you may be surprised that the conversation has gone more than 1 hour. So I did not interrupt because both of you were engaged in very intense conversations. So I thought I should listen, and I think the audience would enjoy it, and it would be a great learning experience as well. Thank you so much, General KJ, and thank you so much, Sujan sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wish you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and
Season
my salute
greetings.
to you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Season
Thank you.
greetings. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.